A 2022 meta-analysis published in the academic journal Nutrients revealed that excessive fructose, especially from natural sources like fruits, was more strongly associated with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NEFLD, than previously thought. This isn't about soda or candy. It's about what's sitting in your fruit bowl. While many adults over 50 reach for fruits to protect their liver and overall health, hidden biological mechanisms are quietly working in the opposite direction, and the damage may already be in motion before any symptoms appear. It's widely believed that fruits are nature's medicine, loaded with antioxidants, fiber, and essential nutrients. But what's rarely explained is that under certain conditions, even healthy fruits can become a daily liver assault. And for seniors, whose liver resilience naturally declines with age, this concern isn't hypothetical, it's urgent. What most people don't realize is that fructose metabolism in the liver doesn't behave like other sugars. When combined with hidden compounds, like pesticide residues, ripening chemicals, sorbitol, or even naturally occurring fruit toxins, the liver becomes overwhelmed, inflamed, and dysfunctional over time. And that's not all. If you unknowingly consume fruit varieties that interfere with liver enzymes or that contain immune-reactive proteins, the result can mimic or accelerate liver damage typically seen in people with metabolic disease, even in those with an otherwise healthy diet. But here's where it gets more concerning. One fruit in particular, commonly recommended for digestive and immune health, is now linked to liver enzyme interference and immune-triggered inflammation, especially in older adults. Clinical observations from the University of Michigan and allergen studies in latex fruit syndrome suggest this overlooked connection may be quietly harming millions of seniors, with no obvious symptoms until it's too late. In this video, we're diving into 7 fruits seniors should be cautious about, especially if liver health, energy levels, or aging gracefully are top priorities. You'll learn the overlooked science, the hidden triggers, and simple tweaks to keep your liver functioning at its best without giving up fruits altogether. If you care about your liver health and want to stay informed with science-backed health tips, go ahead and like this video. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from and your thoughts on today's topic. And don't forget to subscribe for trusted health guides that keep you in control of your well-being. Your small support means everything and keeps us motivated to bring you clear, vital, and life-improving insights like this one. Let's get started. Number 7 is oranges. While widely known for their high vitamin C content and often recommended to bolster immunity in older adults, oranges come with a hidden metabolic complexity that quietly strains the liver, especially in aging bodies. The issue lies not in the fruit itself, but in its high fructose concentration, which the liver processes differently from glucose. Clinical evaluations published by the Cleveland Clinic reveal that as we age, the liver's capacity to metabolize fructose diminishes significantly. Unlike glucose, fructose bypasses insulin signaling and travels directly to the liver, where it is rapidly converted into triglycerides. Over time, this metabolic shortcut contributes to the stealthy progression of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NEFLD, especially when oranges are consumed frequently or in juice form. What exacerbates the problem further is that mitochondrial function, responsible for energy production and fat oxidation, declines with age. A study published in Hepatology confirms that older adults experience a natural reduction in hepatic mitochondrial efficiency, meaning their livers are less capable of clearing excess fat generated from fructose conversion. When this impairment is combined with the regular intake of high fructose fruits like oranges, the result is a slow but steady buildup of liver fat and inflammatory markers. Alarmingly, just 3 medium oranges contain over 20 grams of fructose, a dose that may exceed the daily tolerable limit for many seniors. When consumed as juice, the fiber that normally slows fructose absorption is lost, further accelerating its impact on the liver. For older adults, this means that drinking orange juice in the morning or snacking on multiple oranges a day might seem healthy, but may actually be fueling a silent metabolic overload. To reduce risk, limit intake to 1 whole orange per day, paired with a protein or fat source to slow fructose absorption. Avoid orange juice altogether or reserve it for occasional use in small, diluted amounts. Better yet, opt for citrus alternatives like grapefruit or lemon, which provide similar immune support with lower fructose content. Understanding this metabolic nuance is key because in an aging liver, the margin for error is small, and even healthy habits can silently tip the scale toward dysfunction when not adjusted for age. Number 6 on our list is grapes. While their reputation often revolves around resveratrol and flavonoids, particularly in red and black varieties, there is a deeper, lesser-known risk that warrants urgent attention, especially for older adults. Grapes, particularly those sourced from bulk markets or stored improperly, are one of the most frequent carriers of a dangerous mycotoxin called ochratoxin A. This toxin isn't naturally part of the grape. It develops during improper post-harvest storage or when the fruit is left unwashed. According to a peer-reviewed study in the Journal of Food Protection, ochratoxin A has been shown to impair liver detoxification by disrupting mitochondrial efficiency and severely depleting glutathione, the liver's master antioxidant. In healthy individuals, this burden might be minimal. But in seniors, where glutathione levels are known to drop by as much as 30% after age 60, the same exposure can result in significant toxic accumulation with virtually no early symptoms. What makes this threat especially insidious is how grapes are often consumed with the assumption of health. Whether tossed into salads, consumed as an afternoon snack, or juiced into a morning smoothie, they are rarely washed thoroughly and almost never evaluated for fungal contamination. This casual repetition of unprotected consumption introduces small but consistent levels of ochratoxin, which gradually tax the liver's metabolic capacity. Seniors with pre-existing fatty liver infiltration or those on long-term medications, both of which are common in the over 60 population, are at even higher risk. When the liver is already under pressure, even micro-exposures to mycotoxins can tip the balance toward irreversible damage. This isn't just theoretical. Silent mitochondrial breakdown begins to erode liver function before any clinical signs emerge. To protect your liver, grapes should only be consumed when sourced from trusted suppliers, thoroughly washed with a mild vinegar solution, and ideally eaten fresh in moderation. Avoid prepackaged or long-stored bulk batches, and never consume moldy or wrinkled fruit. For seniors aiming to support their liver, choosing lower-risk fruits with similar antioxidant benefits, such as wild blueberries or pomegranate seeds, may offer safer alternatives with minimal mycotoxin concerns. The goal is not to eliminate grapes entirely, but to stop treating them as an unexamined health default when, in reality, they can become a silent underminer of liver resilience. Number 5 is dried fruits, raisins, apricots, and dates. Although they're often advertised as healthy, natural snacks packed with dietary fiber and potassium, what's rarely mentioned is the metabolic toll they take on an aging liver. In reality, dried fruits are sugar bombs in disguise. A single cup of raisins contains more than 85 grams of sugar, most of it in the form of fructose. Fructose is processed almost entirely by the liver, and when consumed in high concentrations, it overwhelms hepatic pathways. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reports that excessive fructose intake directly accelerates de novo lipogenesis, the liver's conversion of sugar into fat, which plays a central role in the onset of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, particularly in older adults. But the issue isn't limited to sugar content alone. Many commercially available dried fruits are treated with sulfites, chemical preservatives used to extend shelf life and retain color. For the aging population, this poses an added layer of risk. Sulfites have been shown to increase oxidative stress and deplete glutathione, the liver's most vital antioxidant defense. A study published in Toxicology Reports confirms that chronic sulfite exposure can impair mitochondrial respiration and compromise detoxification efficiency, especially in individuals with already declining liver resilience. Furthermore, because dried fruits are compact and easy to consume in large volumes without realizing, they bypass normal satiety cues. Seniors may eat several servings in one sitting, delivering a massive, rapid fructose load that the liver must manage. Even organic or unsweetened options are not exempt. While they may be free of additives, they retain the same fructose density that contributes to hepatic fat accumulation. Compounding this is the reduced metabolic flexibility seen in older age. Aging liver cells have lower mitochondrial turnover, meaning they are less capable of handling energy surges or detoxifying reactive compounds efficiently. When these sugar-rich snacks are consumed regularly, they shift the liver toward a pro-inflammatory state, impairing insulin sensitivity and driving silent fibrosis over time. The recommendation here is not to eliminate dried fruits entirely, but to exercise extreme caution with quantity and frequency. 1 or 2 pieces occasionally, paired with a protein-rich meal to blunt the glycemic load, may be tolerated in metabolically stable seniors. But as a regular snack, dried fruits, especially in trail mixes or packaged forms, pose a silent but substantial threat to liver health. A better alternative would be fresh berries, such as blueberries or raspberries, which contain lower sugar concentrations and are rich in polyphenol that support hepatic antioxidant systems. Number 4 is lychee. On the surface, this fruit appears refreshing, sweet, and innocuous, often praised for its hydrating qualities and vitamin C content. But hidden within its exotic charm is a potential biochemical danger that most people, especially seniors, are never warned about. Under certain conditions, lychee contains a natural toxin called hypoglycin A, particularly concentrated in unripe fruits. This compound disrupts fatty acid metabolism by inhibiting enzymes essential for mitochondrial beta oxidation. In lay terms, it prevents the liver from converting fat into usable energy, forcing a dangerous metabolic bottleneck. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has documented outbreaks of acute encephalopathy and liver failure in undernourished populations, particularly among children and elderly individuals with poor protein intake. This is a key concern for seniors, many of whom experience reduced appetite, inconsistent meals, or digestive issues that limit protein absorption. When glycogen stores are already low and protein reserves are inadequate, the liver lacks the necessary substrates to detoxify hypoglycin A, or buffer against sudden metabolic shifts. What makes this risk more insidious is its delayed onset and lack of awareness among healthcare professionals and the general public. In older adults, early symptoms may be mistaken for common fatigue or low blood sugar, lightheadedness, weakness, or nausea, until liver enzymes surge and hepatic function plummets. Furthermore, because lychee is frequently consumed in large amounts during summer months or blended into juices and desserts, the toxic threshold can be crossed easily in vulnerable individuals. A 2020 review in Frontiers in Nutrition emphasized that while healthy adults may tolerate small amounts, those with impaired mitochondrial efficiency, nutrient deficiencies, or pre-existing liver concerns face significantly heightened risk from even moderate consumption. This doesn't mean all seniors must avoid lychee entirely, but it demands a more nuanced approach. Avoid unripe or sour-tasting lychees, which tend to have higher toxin concentrations. Only eat them after a well-balanced meal to ensure glucose and amino acid levels are sufficient to buffer any toxic impact. Limit intake to no more than 6 to 8 fully ripened fruits in a single sitting, and avoid consuming lychee on an empty stomach. Seniors with a history of fatty liver, glucose regulation issues, or low appetite should avoid lychee altogether unless cleared by a healthcare provider. For a safer option that supports liver function, opt for citrus fruits like grapefruit or lemon, which activate detox enzymes without disrupting mitochondrial metabolism. Number 3 on the list is mango, a fruit often celebrated for its taste and vitamin content, but one that may harbor hidden threats to senior liver health when commercially ripened. In most large-scale agricultural operations, mangoes are not allowed to ripen naturally. Instead, they are exposed to ethylene gas, a legal but synthetic ripening agent used to accelerate the fruit's appearance of maturity. While this makes the mango look ripe on the outside, it often leaves behind aldehyde residues, byproducts of the chemical process that are far from benign. According to the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH, aldehydes are reactive compounds that interfere with mitochondrial function in liver cells. Mitochondria serve as the liver's cellular engines, producing energy needed for detoxification, fat metabolism, and enzyme activity. Disruption here impairs the organ's ability to manage toxic loads, particularly in seniors who may already suffer from liver inflammation or reduced hepatic capacity due to age. Compounding the risk is the fruit's high sugar load. A large mango contains approximately 45 grams of sugar, most of which comes in the form of fructose. Unlike glucose, which is processed by various cells throughout the body, fructose is metabolized almost exclusively in the liver. According to Harvard University's Department of Nutrition, excess fructose intake can rapidly lead to de novo lipogenesis, the conversion of sugar into fat within liver cells. This process not only promotes fatty liver disease, but also contributes to insulin resistance and systemic inflammation, conditions prevalent in aging populations. For seniors with compromised liver function, this means mangoes deliver a metabolic double blow: aldehydes that damage cellular function and sugars that accelerate fat buildup and inflammation. But the more insidious danger lies in the interaction between these two elements. Aldehyde residues from artificial ripening compromise the liver's ability to defend itself, while the fructose content launches a metabolic assault during this weakened state. This forms a biochemical feedback loop, where the weakened detox pathways allow fructose-induced damage to go unchecked, and the sugar further suppresses mitochondrial repair. Most older adults consuming mangoes regularly are unaware of this compounding effect, as the fruit is often viewed as harmless or even beneficial. This illusion of safety makes the liver damage more silent and gradual, until symptoms like fatigue, abdominal discomfort, or elevated liver enzymes appear. To minimize risk, seniors should opt for organically grown, naturally ripened mangoes and limit consumption to half a fruit per serving, no more than 2 to 3 times a week, especially if they already have metabolic issues or elevated liver markers. Next on the list is an even more deceptive threat: apples, particularly their skins, which are typically praised for containing beneficial nutrients like fiber and quercetin. But when not organically sourced, they become a primary vector for liver stress, especially in older adults. The Environmental Working Group, EWG, consistently ranks apples among the top 5 most pesticide-contaminated fruits, largely due to residues of organophosphate pesticides. These chemical compounds are known to inhibit the activity of cytochrome P450 enzymes in the liver. These enzymes play a crucial role in detoxifying everything from over-the-counter medications to alcohol, airborne pollutants, and household toxins. As people age, the liver's enzymatic function naturally declines, meaning that even small exposures to these pesticides can disrupt detoxification and prolong the presence of harmful substances in the bloodstream. What's worse, long-term pesticide exposure has been linked to hepatic steatosis, fatty liver, and elevated ALT and AST enzyme levels, which are markers of liver inflammation and damage. Additionally, apples contain a compound many seniors don't associate with liver stress: sorbitol. Sorbitol is a sugar alcohol that is slowly absorbed in the small intestine and often ferments in the colon, producing gas and bloating. While this might be merely uncomfortable for younger individuals, it can pose a more serious problem for older adults who often have sluggish bowel flow or weakened digestive efficiency. This fermentation process increases intra-abdominal pressure, which can impair portal circulation, the system that delivers blood from the digestive tract to the liver. According to the University of Minnesota's Department of Food Science, this fermentation can lead to elevated ammonia levels in the bloodstream, a metabolic byproduct that the liver must work harder to neutralize. In elderly individuals, this added pressure can trigger hepatic encephalopathy in extreme cases, or simply worsen fatigue and cognitive dullness in milder ones. The paradox is clear. A fruit commonly touted as cleansing and gut-friendly may, under less than ideal conditions, quietly overburden the liver and disrupt the very detox pathways it's assumed to support. Seniors consuming apples daily, especially non-organic ones, may unknowingly accumulate pesticide residues and endure low-grade digestive inflammation that together push the liver beyond its already limited threshold. To reduce risk, it's crucial to switch to organic apples. Peel the skins if sourcing is uncertain, and moderate intake to 1 medium apple a day, ensuring it's consumed with a fat or protein source to buffer blood sugar spikes. Now, with the most trusted fruits already raising red flags, we turn to one that's not only praised for its medicinal value but can, in fact, provoke full-blown immune distress in aging bodies. Taking the top spot is papaya, a fruit long celebrated for its digestive benefits. Yet it carries overlooked risks that can destabilize liver function, especially in seniors. The danger lies not in the occasional bite, but in consistent consumption over time, particularly in those aged 50 and above whose hepatic resilience is already compromised. The tropical sweetness of papaya masks a potent biochemical agent, papain, a proteolytic enzyme found in high concentrations in ripe papaya. While papain aids in breaking down proteins, research by the Indian Council of Medical Research reveals it can disrupt the normal functioning of liver enzymes when consumed regularly in high amounts or in supplement form. For seniors managing fatty liver disease, hepatitis, or those unknowingly dealing with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, (FLD), this enzymatic interference becomes more than a mild imbalance. It subtly rewires the liver's detoxification pathways, leading to fluctuations in alanine transaminase, ALT, and aspartate transaminase, AST, key indicators of liver stress that often go undetected until real damage is underway. What makes papaya even more insidious is its chitinase content, a protein with allergenic potential, particularly for individuals with latex fruit syndrome. This isn't a rare condition. It affects approximately 30% to 50% of those with known latex allergies, and older adults may not even realize they fall into this group. According to researchers at Johns Hopkins University, exposure to chitinase in papaya can provoke cross-reactive immune responses that extend far beyond skin-level allergies. In patients with autoimmune disorders, such as lupus, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, or rheumatoid arthritis, this reaction quietly magnifies systemic inflammation, placing extra burden on the liver, which must process the byproducts of this heightened immune activity. Unlike external allergies, liver inflammation is silent. Seniors may only experience persistent fatigue, slow recovery from minor illnesses, or vague digestive discomfort, symptoms commonly misattributed to aging. In clinical studies, even moderate papaya intake was associated with mild but measurable elevations in liver enzymes, particularly among older adults with pre-existing liver conditions or metabolic syndrome. What was once promoted as a superfruit now enters a gray area, where even a small bowl consumed daily can gradually tip the liver into a state of chronic stress. The problem isn't always papaya in isolation. Many health-conscious seniors rotate papaya with other fruits under the illusion of variety and wellness. But when this rotation becomes routine, daily servings across different meals, smoothies, or supplements, the liver is forced to adapt to constant enzymatic and immune provocations. Over time, this can lead to impaired bile production, reduced detox efficiency, and worsening hepatic metrics that appear unrelated to diet. Practical takeaway: if you're over 60 and managing any liver-related condition, autoimmune disease, or unexplained fatigue, reconsider how often you eat papaya. Limit intake to no more than one small serving, about 100 grams, 2 to 3 times per week, and avoid papaya enzyme supplements unless explicitly directed by a physician. Look instead for fruits like blueberries or kiwi, which support liver health with antioxidants without triggering enzyme disruption or immune stress. These seemingly healthy fruits, when consumed without context or caution, can quietly burden an already aging liver, especially in seniors. Scientific evidence now shows that the liver's response to natural compounds changes with age, and what was once beneficial can shift into a hidden threat. Start by reconsidering just one of these fruits today. Gradual change leads to lasting health. If you've made it this far, it means you're serious about protecting your liver and staying informed. So subscribe now, because the next health insight might be the one that changes everything for you. Comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your story. And as always, thank you for watching and taking control of your health.